Hello, I continue to be Thomas Frank Carr. I'm the film host here on the Blue White Illustrated YouTube channel. A film host is somebody who is both a YouTube host and a film junkie for football. I serve both roles here. You can call me T. Frank, by the way. And Sundays are not a day of rest. They are a day of film study. 6 days a week, I'm here on the YouTube channel during the season, giving you the tailgate show, the post-game show, 5 things to watch for on Friday, all of our BWI lives, and here on Monday, 3 things I learned from Sunday. So that's what we're getting into today. If you enjoy Penn State football and all the meaning and the context of this, I understand that some people, they don't view a bowl game as anything meaningful. But here's the deal. It is important for the team. The team clearly wants to keep winning. They clearly want to keep playing. They want to be together. Terry Smith has inspired this team. So they're going to keep fighting. However anyone else feels about it, they're going to try and win these final 2 games and get to 500. And that's a very, I think, worthwhile and honorable thing that we're going to be following here. And we're going to be learning about the team and then giving you the previews and the matchups coming up over the next couple of weeks. And of course, over at BlueWhiteIllustrated.com and here on the YouTube channel during our BWI live show, we're going to discuss the coaching search. It's going to be part of the conversation. But here's what we're doing. And I hope this remains both logically and emotionally consistent. Because positive, negative, it doesn't matter to me whether it comes off as positive or negative. We're going to tell you what we learned about the team each week. And in a environment where you go on social media and people can make anything out of any video and put any context they think they can for whatever reason, mostly for clicks and attention, we're trying to still give you like the journalism of it. We're still trying to give you the truth of what's going on. So that's what we're doing here on our 3 things. Let's get to number 3.
Number 3.
So Penn State is sub 500. They have lost 6 games this year. By their own standards, this isn't good enough. This is not a good team. But they are a talented team. A talented but flawed team. Trying to say that over the last month or so, and I think it can fall on deaf ears because they keep losing, right? But going to the wire with a very good Indiana team, going to the wire with an Iowa team, it doesn't erase those losses to Northwestern and to UCLA, certainly. So the record is the record. But when the opposing coach says, like, they pop off the film, there's tons of talent on this team, it's not lip service. They can dominate other flawed teams. They just haven't had a chance to since the Iowa game, right? And that was another good but flawed team. And so they lost that by a point in that situation, or however many points it was at this point. It was a lifetime ago for me. I don't remember exactly. But the point is, they can dominate teams that are equally flawed but less talented. And that's what happened against Michigan State this past weekend. They dominated a specific weakness or several weaknesses on Michigan State's team, which is truly not a good team. It is not, like, functionally that team can't win games. And so that's what happened. That's the long and the short of the film analysis is Penn State had massive advantages in the trenches on both sides of the ball. And they used that to their advantage. Here's just some domination stats. At its core, 262 yards rushing on the day for Penn State, given that was also, like, I think that includes sack yardage taken out. 8 sacks for Penn State. Those are domination stats. Teams that are flawed and untalented don't get 8 sacks regularly. They have to then be facing an equally untalented and even more flawed team on the other side. So Penn State in this game was able to take a 3-6 team, now a 3-7 team, and for the most part, put them to bed without a complete game plan. And we're going to get to that. That's our number one thing. We'll talk about an incomplete game plan on the offensive side. Now, the flawed part for Penn State is the run defense for the defense, right? They still gave up 5 yards a carry, even if you take out the first play of 57-yard touchdown. It was 8 yards a carry on the ground, ignoring sack totals. That's not good enough, right? So that's part of the not good enough, the flawed but talented. They should not have given up as many yards as they did, but they also, within that, had some pretty impressive moments against the run. 8 stops, I think, total. At least 3 tackles for loss that I count off the top of my head. So they were able to, even in that situation, put together a good performance on defense that was lopsided to the passing game, right? Dominating the passing game, dominating up front in pass protection and pass rush, but still showing their flaws on defense. And then in the ground game, you don't do what they did in the second half of 22 runs and just 6 passes and win a game. And win it going away at the end. That's a dominant performance from the rushing attack from Katron Allen and from really the left side of the line and the tight ends, specifically Andrew Rappelier and Khalil Dinkins. That blocking unit right there won Penn State the game. That's it. Like, they won Penn State the game in the second half with the way they performed, and you don't get individual performances like that make a difference against complete teams. You have to have a complete effort plus a dominant performance by an individual to win a tight game between two very good teams. Penn State was able to ignore part of their offense in the second half and still win the game. That is a talented but flawed team, and that's going to be the key going forward because, again, put a pin in that. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But let's get to number 2. We're talking about the coaching staff and the play calling in just a second.
Have you heard of Wave Fruit Farm? It's this great farm market bakery and cafe. You can shop with them either at their farm in Port Matilda or downtown State College.
No way.
Yes, Wave Fruit Farm. They have all sorts of seasonal fruits and veggies.
Way cool.
No, Wave Fruit Farm. But anyway, you should visit their bakery and cafe. They serve amazing food all day.
Way.
Fruit Farm.
Number 2.
Going to clean up a false start. Penn State lost by a point to Iowa. They lost by 3 points to Indiana. Those got jumbled in my brain. Okay, let's get into number 2, and that is the play calling. Andy Kotelnicki got the message, and I understand that the passing game didn't work, and I know I keep dangling that out. That's what we're talking about as their number 1 thing. But it's not always play calling. As much as he has frustrated yours truly and Penn State fans this year, I thought this was a solid game plan that did the things we were asking him to do. So here's a couple of things. From Terry Smith's perspective, 61% of the team's passing attempts were on play action. So I still feel like maybe that was we're going to put in a little bit more sugar, and no, wait, we just dumped in a whole cup of sugar into the formula. Maybe dialing that back a little bit, but I don't want to quibble about the fact that he did the thing that they asked him to do. 61% of their plays were play action. Only 23% were screens. That was flipped, where against Ohio State, it was 40%. And you were trying to take the quarterback out of the game. Again, referencing our last conversation about a complete team, there's no way you're going to beat a good team by hiding your quarterback. This game you could. And this game was also an opportunity to see what he could do. The thing that I was very happy with personally, and I thought was good process that didn't lead to better results, and that's really where I'm frustrated by this performance, is the play calling was much more even-handed. First down, first half play calling. So in the first half, when they were still operating the original game plan, 8 runs, 5 passes on first down. A couple of those were screens, but if you look at the second down passing with it as well, they were very even. 4 to 5 run to pass. So 5 runs, 4 passes, and all of those were true passing attempts on second down. So second and short, they were calling play action shots to try and push the ball down the field to open up the intermediate routes and open up the run game. All that is really, I think, good process, and it didn't play out the way Penn State fans wanted. Now, within that, there's a couple of things. And I'm not again, these are probably dictated by what Terry Smith wants. A lot of those were highly designed 2-play pass concepts, right? Only 2 passing routes out there, and if one isn't open, then Ethan Grunkemeyer is going to scramble, and he looks like he doesn't know what he's doing on that particular play. But I think overall, and you're not going to like to hear this, and again, this is the truth, that was a good game plan from Andy Kotelnicki in the first half. It's a little bit of repetition where you're running a lot of the same concepts that you ran last week, and Michigan State was ready for them. But that is not the entire story, which is why we have to get to number 1 fairly quickly and then have the rest of the conversation for this video about the context of the passing attack.
Number 1.
I don't think Ethan Grunkemeyer had a very good game. I don't so a lot of what you saw on camera and a lot of what you saw in the game, we want to just attribute it to Andy Kotelnicki because he's the villain in our story now. But truthfully, like, I don't think Grunk played great. Dropped the first snap on his first third down and seemed flustered from that point on. There's a lot of stuff that I can get to here from the fourth down play, missed deep shots multiple times before he hit one. So like I don't want to be too harsh on the guy. There's a fine line here. He's a young quarterback, but there are things that once they were giving him the opportunity to throw the football, we found out more about Grunk. So this is the thing. I'm trying to make this as interconnective with the conversation we've had previously, but also not ignore the new information that I got this weekend, right? So Andy Kotelnicki was trying to hide the quarterback against the number 1 and number 2 team in the country. As I said, you can't do that. But once he didn't hide the quarterback in this game, we learned a little bit more about Grunk. And there's some flaws in his game. Now, is he cooked as a player? No, but we have to be able to be mature here and have the two conversations at the same time. There are things Michigan State did to him that caused him to short circuit. So here is, the indicative part of Ethan Grunkemeyer's performance. He did not put the ball in harm's way. He did not make mistakes, but he didn't make plays. So under pressure in this game, he had 10 pressures on 20-some attempts, I think it was. 21 attempts. So nearly half of the time he was under pressure. He only had 2 attempts on those 10 plays. He also, in those situations, gave up 4 sacks. So 2 passes, 1 completion, 4 sacks, and a lot of running around and throwing the ball away. Michigan State watched the film of Ethan Grunkemeyer and learned that if you blitz him, he can get a little skittish in the pocket. I did some videos over at BlueWhiteIllustrated.com, on social media as well, at Thomas Ryan Carr on Twitter. If you want to go check out those in depth, I don't want to get to them. They're like 5-6 minute videos breaking down one play, and I don't want to stress your attention span that far. But what it is to understand is that when he's blitzed or he's given blitz looks, Grunkemeyer gets uncomfortable in the pocket. His pocket presence isn't great, and he tends to roll to the right. So on the 4th down play right before halftime, Penn State dials up a non-play action standard pass play. Michigan State blitzes through one of the middle gaps in the offensive line. Katron Allen picks up the blitz. Totally fine. Clean pocket. Grunkemeyer just has to stand there. But flash of green in his face, and he decides to run on 4th down because he doesn't want to give up a sack. If he stands in the pocket and just looks at the coverage, he's got 2 receivers open for a first down. He gets to pick between Devontae Ross and Kyron Hudson. And so those are the facts. Those are the cold, hard situation. And in the second half, Penn State took the ball out of his hands. They ran the ball 22 times because the pass game just wasn't functioning, and it was causing disjointed drives. And I don't necessarily blame them in this situation because there were multiple opportunities. There was a play to Luke Reynolds where he's wide open deep. The safety turned the wrong way, and Grunkemeyer stares it down and decides not to throw the ball. These are just growing pains, you can call them. You can call them earmarkers of what his talent level is. However you want to call it, whatever you want to say about Grunkemeyer and these plays, they are what the defense is seeing and what Penn State is going to have to contend with at home and on the road at Rutgers. So they are a flawed but talented team. And I would even call Grunkemeyer, at this point, a flawed but talented quarterback, where you do have to do some stuff to help him out. And I do think that there is fair criticism that we gave before, but more context to it now of what we saw when Grunk was given the opportunity to throw. So that's going to be the tightrope they walk to get these final 2 wins. They have to lean on the ground game. They have to get him comfortable and confident. He was not confident in that game. And truthfully, Michigan State was throwing some coverages at him, again, that I broke down over on the site, he's never seen before. I guarantee you he's never seen some of those coverage rotations before. And so those things can surprise a quarterback, and his eyes didn't do what they were supposed to do when he saw something new. And that's okay. But it is a fact that they have to work around. So the sacks under pressure and pressure in general is going to be a big part of this over the next 2 weeks. Nebraska And their defense, they like to be multiple. They like to run 3-down fronts. They like to run 3-3 stack. They like to run 4-down fronts. They like to blitz from everywhere. That is a thing that they're going to have to contend with this week at Beaver Stadium. And we're going to get into those breakdowns and get you more information about Nebraska and how all those things match up in the next couple of days over at BlueWhiteIllustrated.com and, of course, on the Blue White Illustrated YouTube channel. But I think that's the storyline for me for the rest of the season. And it's going to be annoying probably, but it's how does the quarterback, the missing piece, because it is the gateway to the passing game and the gateway to a balanced offense, how does Grunkemeyer develop over these final few games? He grew up, as Terry Smith said, in the second half of that Indiana game. In the Michigan State game, we saw some of those things exposed. Now, what is the response like from Grunkemeyer? My hope going forward is not that they go that the conversation is, see, this is what happens when we gave the quarterback the opportunity, but more of let's find some different plays to put out there that he's more comfortable with. Let's put him in some situations where he gets some confidence. I think being at home is obviously a big indicator of his level of confidence. And it could be as simple as like knowing where the play clock is and having everything, the familiar sight lines, all those small psychological things that shouldn't bother somebody, but when you're doing it for the first time, overwhelms you. At home, I expect a bounce back performance from Ethan Grunkemeyer because I don't think he's a bad quarterback. Again, being correct about the assessment of how he did versus being positive about the talent that he possesses, those are two separate conversations. It's one data point in a long-term evaluation. So hopefully that makes some sense for you, that I'm not sitting here saying that Ethan Grunkemeyer is terrible, but there are things for Penn State to win against slightly better teams down the stretch because Rutgers can throw the football and Nebraska has some select talent on both sides of the ball and some things that can challenge the Nittany Lions. So he will have to play better than he did against Michigan State for them to win this game because I don't think they can just go smash mouth. I don't think they can do that and be guaranteed wins. And that's really the thing is like they could do that against Michigan State. They may be able to do that against these final two teams, but I don't know that for certain. Because I don't know that for certain that they're going to get such a dominant performance from the defensive line who can keep the quarterback in the pocket if he's not much of a runner. I don't think that's the case here for the next two games. So, follow along with us over at BlueWhiteIllustrated.com. If you enjoyed this video, like it, subscribe here to the channel. Always appreciate people who join us, jump on board, because we got a lot of Penn State football stuff coming up, including, as I mentioned, I think at the beginning of this video, the coaching search. That's coming up over the next couple of weeks. Recruiting is heating up, if you will. Heating up in the sense that it's falling apart, and we'll be covering that on our Thursday show here on the Blue White Illustrated YouTube channel and, of course, at BlueWhiteIllustrated.com. I'm T. Frank. We'll talk to you later.